Today, I'm going to talk about creativity and two books that have inspired me more in my journal. Probably the worst thing I ever did in my life. In high school, I took an art class and I quit. I finished the year, but I never went back to take any other art classes because I felt less than. I wasn't a perfect artist, a fine artist. I couldn't look at something and create the exact duplicate of it. And I thought that that meant I wasn't a good artist. I wanted to talk to you about books, and before I said I had two books, but these are my absolute top 4 books. 3 of them are about art, and this one, it's Are You Ready to Succeed? This man took me out of my belief system and into seeing the world in a different way. He's magical. He's a genius. So this book is one of my top favorite books for learning to think differently. It has everything to do with life and about being more open, more creative. This got me to start thinking differently, to think literally outside that box, to stop believing in what I was programmed in school. This was my #1 help to getting more creative, inspiring myself. Great book. This is a top book of mine about thinking differently. Loved it. The next one that really pushed me farther into my journaling process is this Soul Collage. This is not a book that you have to read cover to cover, but it is about making collage and letting your soul speak to you. So you're making these small little collage cards using magazine cutouts, but in today's world, magazines are hard to come by. You could print images off the internet and do the same exact thing as long as you're not selling them to make cards like this, especially if you use something like free photo sites, that kind of thing. This is about making collage and letting your inside, your intuition, your soul speak to you. And this, I just loved this. These are just some things that other people in their classes had made. They're really beautiful. So there's a whole process. You can take classes on how to make soul collage, but if you bought this book, you would be able to do it all by yourself. This was my next layer of keeping my journal. This got me to think in terms of imagery and what that imagery was telling me. So another great book. This one, now it says The Creative Entrepreneur, but I'm going to tell you, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to have this book. This is by Lisa Sonora Bean. She was a therapist and used art therapy in her practice. She's my kind of artist. She's not worried about being perfect. She's using her intuition. For those of us that consider ourselves visual, which would be any of us in the arts like this. If you're watching this video, my guess is that you're a visual person. So she's taking you to take your visions and answer some prompts and make some art in a journal. And she gives you step by step how to set up your visual journal. This has been a book that I go back to time and time again. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to use this. You can use this just as a way to learn about making your own kind of visual journals. So this has a lot of great pictures, a lot of great ideas, and I love this one. Here she's using art. She calls it art as medicine. So building your creative building blocks. She talks about right and left brain, and there's lots of great examples about how you think, learning about how you think. So she gives you lots of great exercises, lots of things to think about. And she has all these great ideas and examples. And I love this book. This book, I will pull this book out and just, you don't have to even read it cover to cover. This is another great, great book. And it does help you think differently because you're putting your creativity to use while you're learning about yourself and about your creative flow. This was one of my very big sticking points, was that I didn't understand how visual I was and how much something like this, keeping a journal for this reason, mattered to me. My last one is Make Your Own Idea Book with Arnie and Carlos. They're knitters. They do a lot of other things, but they're knitters. And that's how I learned about Arnie and Carlos. This is one of the best creative books I've seen in a long time about keeping a journal. So they create all kinds of different journals. I don't even think that they use pre-made journals. I think they just make them themselves in a very easy way. And they talk about recycling, something I love. And then here's their idea book. So they keep track of things for their creative projects. So knitting a sweater. Here's some book covers that they made. Here they sewed their journals and they just have all this thread hanging out. This to me, I couldn't love that any more than I do. They collect old, they go to vintage shops and buy old things. This book, when I'm blue or when I don't know what I want to do, I pull this book out. Now they do this gauze binding. I'm here to tell you, you don't even have to get this complicated. But if you want to, you could. They found all these old book presses, cool things for your process, your journaling process, whatever. I think making our own signatures, our own books, our own journals is really interesting. And of course, I love when things aren't perfect. Like, I love when journals look like this. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. I want to know how many other people aren't worried about the perfection and are in love with having a book to carry around that looks something like this. Are you my people? Let me know. Look at all this. Now, you can make your own book press if you really wanted to do this kind of process, but you don't have to do that. But the idea of it is intriguing. And you can see these are their knitting projects. So they keep all their projects in these books. And they have some great old books. And what it's great for is you can go back and find things. You can, discover things you forgot about. I love this because, you keep paint swatches and you keep material swatches and photos of things that you've done. You might just pull things you love out of magazines. This could be a way if you're wanting to redecorate, to keep your ideas in one spot. This is just so good. These 4 books offer so much. I think that they're, for me, some of the very best books that I own. I go back to them time and time again, and I love their ideas. So this one is Make Your Own Idea Book. This one is The Creative Entrepreneur by Lisa Sonora Beam. Soul Collage is by Sina Frost. And then just a book to read, but a way to open up your mind and to help you start thinking differently, to get more in tune with your intuitive side, to become more free in your process. This one. These are my top favorite books.